The Russian edition of Maxim just recently put out an article titled Gays We Respect. Now, as you know, Russia recently passed some anti-gay laws. They want to ensure that people don't spread gay propaganda to young people. But Maxim in Russia decided to release this article. And even though it sounds really bad, I want you guys to hold off on judgment because we had a person who can read Russian in the studio, and her interpretation is very different from how the media in the U.S. has interpreted it. With that said, in an article headlined, Gays We Respect, the Russian edition of men's magazine Maxim has forgiven a list of famous actors, authors, and musicians for their sexual orientation. Here's a little excerpt from it. We men do not consider men who love men to be men. This is the rule. But there are exceptions. There are gays who have earned our respect and the right to remain real men in our eyes.
Now, it's going to need a significant translation change to pull them out of it.
Look, Irina Nikita, she's the executive producer of the main show. She read the article, and so she feels that this is kind of, it's like a parody, like kind of making fun of Russia because they're so against gay people, but when it comes to certain gay celebrities that they love to watch, then all of a sudden they're like, okay, that person gets a pass. But we hate gay people.
Before Irina even read it in the original Russian, I got a sense of like, wait a minute, let's pause on this story. Because it sounds like they might be being sarcastic.
Yeah, they were being, well, I mean, from what she said.
And here's my, so they have a bunch of celebrities, Neil Patrick Harris, and they say, well, you play a straight guy really well, and, you know, writing about the bro code and How I Met Your Mother. But to me, they put Freddie Mercury on the list. And I was like, that's got to be sarcastic.
So, first of all, Freddie Mercury was the shit. So, it's awesome that they included him on the list. But look, just listen to the language. Even when it's translated to English, you can kind of get a sense of the sarcasm. We weren't sure about including Neil Patrick Harris in the list. After all, he declared himself a happy gay in 2006. But his performance as Barney Stinson in the series How I Met Your Mother hasn't left us indifferent. It's impossible not to respect someone who elevated the hunt for girls into a true art. And also the Freddie Mercury part that Cenk was referring to said the following. As the lead singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury brought us so much joy, we are ready to forgive him for anything.
Yeah.
I think they might be joking. I agree.
I think they might
Irina's
be joking.
probably right.
Yeah. Now, look, the thing is, unfortunately, the world's gotten so ugly that
we're prepared for it just to be
we're braced for impact. Like, oh, no, Jesus Christ, what are they thinking in Russia? Because there is horrible discrimination against gays in Russia, encouraged by the Russian government. So, and now Maxim across the world in the U.S. edition are like, no, we're not a part of this. We don't have anything to do with it. We don't sanction it. But even if they meant it as sarcastic and poking fun at the Russian government, that's a tough line to walk, right?
It is a tough line.
I would have been pretty careful about that.
Who's this tweet from? Do you have any of the tweets of the people?
Yes, the people that were upset about it. So
I can't even follow this first one.
Okay, so one person said, and this is someone who was critical of the article. This is on Twitter. I, a person, do not consider those who think men who love men are not men to be people, and there are no exceptions. He's basically saying, if you think that gay men aren't men, then I don't think you're a person. Like, I don't think you're a man.
I couldn't follow that. Okay,
Yeah.
so I do not consider those who think men who love men are not men to be people.
Irina assured me that reads much better in Russian.
Okay, all right.
All right, another one. These gays must be pissing boiling water over the fact that they earned your respect, you little yellow news rag. I kind of like that one. But yeah, I mean, look, things do get lost in translation, and it's important to step back and kind of analyze what their true intentions were. But I do agree with Cenk. It's ballsy to write a sarcastic article.
Yeah, totally.
Supporting gay people, you know?
Yeah, if you did that in Turkey, you'd get arrested.
You might get arrested in Russia.
By the way, Alexander Malenkov, the editor-in-chief, said this is a joke article. It says so in it.
Yeah. Now, he says whether it says it's a joke article in it in the introduction is a matter of dispute.
Yeah.
When you read it, it's not clear that it's a joke, and hence the blow up.
I don't think.
By the way, to be clear, in Russia, it is a crime to do propaganda that encourages young people to consider the homosexual lifestyle. That's the umbrella under which they prosecute people for, in any way, shape, or form,
so
advocating for or saying it's acceptable to be gay.
So they're towing a line here. So they're right.
Yeah.
It's hard to because I don't think I'm wrong here, and I think this is. I think I've read a statistic that this is true. There are no funny Russians now that Yakov Smirnoff left. So that's part of the problem. why it doesn't translate.
Who?
That's us. Okay, and
Like the drink manufacturer?
There was a Russian comedian named Yakov Smirnoff who did a bunch of commercials that always ended with, you know, in America, you always find the party. In the Soviet Union, party always finds you.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. I've
Yeah.
heard that before. I
Yeah.
didn't know it was Mr. Yakov.
Yeah.
what I can't wait for is the hashtag Russian apologist. That's coming.